Libra, dearest soul, your name has been written in divine ink, and your full inheritance has just been approved. December 15th will not be an ordinary day. It will be the moment the universe recognizes your silent struggles and delivers what was always meant for you. This message is not a vague prediction or hopeful possibility. It is a sacred announcement. A spiritual court order has been finalized, and your reality is about to change. Close your eyes, just for a second. Imagine you're standing at the gates of a celestial courtroom. The energy is still. Light pours through the windows of eternity. And there, on the highest bench, the divine judge places a golden seal on a legal paper with your name on it, confirming what your soul has long cried out for: restoration, repayment, and return. Not someday. Not if you're good enough. But now. You may have thought all this time that you were merely surviving. In truth, you were gathering evidence. Every betrayal you forgave, every time you chose peace over revenge, every night you cried without anyone knowing, those were not wasted. They were legal testimony. You weren't just enduring, you were winning a sacred case. Now, the sentence has been issued. And the verdict is this: Libra, everything that was stolen must be returned to you in full. December 15th is your day of release. A divine order is being executed in your favor. And if you're here, watching this video, it's not random. You were guided here for a reason, to be reminded that your name is on something big. Something official. Something spiritual. You felt the shift, haven't you? That deep stillness in your body, as if the universe is holding its breath. That strange lightness in your chest, or the recurring dream, or the way your intuition has been whispering louder than usual. These are not coincidences. These are confirmation code signs that your reality is recalibrating to match the new divine order. And right now, I want to invite you to do something powerful. Type in the comments below, "I confirm my inheritance. I receive all that is mine. The verdict has been executed." That comment is more than a sentence, it is your energetic signature. A spiritual declaration. A way to anchor the shift in your field. And before we move forward, let me take a sacred pause and say this from my heart: thank you. Truly. Every like, every comment, every subscription, it brings you closer to the soul family we are building here on Zodiac Whisper Tarot. Your support doesn't just help this channel, it sends a signal to the universe that you're ready to show up and claim what's yours. So, stay with me. Trust me when I say this: what the universe is about to reveal next is astonishing. There are layers to this message, and every one of them is coded for your awakening. Your soul didn't land here by accident. You were chosen to hear this, to remember, and to rise. Let's step into this together. Because Libra, your verdict is in. And your reign is just beginning. There are moments in life when we feel a subtle shift in the air before anything has actually changed. You can't quite name it, but you feel it in your bones that something long held back is about to be released. For Libra, this is one of those rare seasons. You've waited, not just for clarity, but for resolution, for justice to arrive, not in whispers of reassurance, but in tangible, irreversible form. And now, the cosmic verdict has been delivered. A legal decree, signed not by human hands, but by the movements of the heavens, has just been issued in your name. You are the winner of a case you didn't even know was being tried. This isn't symbolic language. As Jupiter, the planet of divine justice, expansion, and reward, forms a perfect trine with Mercury, the cosmic scribe of contracts, signatures, and soul messages, a portal opens. And within that energetic alignment, all the truths that were buried, silenced, or distorted must rise. They are no longer deniable. And you, Libra, the sign of balance and law, become the rightful recipient of a justice long overdue. The tarot echoes this astrological alignment with powerful affirmation. The Justice card appears not as a hope, but as a confirmation. Everything that was mishandled, overlooked, or unfairly taken from you is now in the process of being recalculated and restored. The Six of Pentacles enters with the sacred promise that compensation in money, opportunities, and timely support is being arranged behind the veil, and it will arrive right on schedule. And finally, the Ace of Swords cuts through lingering confusion like divine lightning. It pierces the illusion, unlocking a deeper knowing. The truth isn't something you must chase, it is now chasing you. What makes this moment even more significant is not simply that you're receiving something, but that it was always yours. You are not being gifted, you are being restored. There is a tremendous difference between being chosen and being owed. And Libra, this season, you are both. I want you to remember something. Many of the greatest shifts in life are not loud. They don't scream their arrival. They show up quietly, wrapped in calm, cloaked in synchronicity. Just like a story I heard once, a woman working 2 jobs, exhausted, forgotten by most, feeling invisible. On a regular Monday, she checked her mailbox and found a certified envelope. Inside, legal proof of an inheritance she never knew was held for her. A relative she'd lost contact with had passed, leaving her a home, a sum of money, and more importantly a second chance. She hadn't prayed for that exact outcome, but her faith had created the conditions for its delivery. This is what I mean when I say, miracles do not always look like lightning. Sometimes, they look like paperwork. In a world constantly rushing toward what's next, you may have forgotten how to fully receive. But this moment is asking you to pause, not to hustle, not to prove, but to accept. This isn't about being good enough. This is about claiming what has been legally and energetically assigned to you. And you, Libra, no longer need to explain yourself to the world in order to take up space in it. This is your space. This is your time. If you've been feeling unusually still lately, like the world around you is holding its breath, it's not anxiety. It's confirmation. You're in the courtroom of energetic law, and the judge has just said, case closed. And you, the once silent plaintiff, are now the sole inheritor. All the doors that were once locked energetically, financially, relationally must begin to open. This is a good time to ask yourself, what am I willing to allow? What am I finally ready to believe about myself? If this message is resonating deeply, take a moment to anchor it now. Type in the comments, I receive the verdict. I claim my full inheritance. I accept the return of all that is mine. By writing it, you sign your own name energetically on the spiritual document already issued in your favor. And as we continue, know this, you're not walking into something new, you're returning to something ancient. Something always meant for you. Let me know when you'd like to move into part 2, and I'll help you continue seamlessly from here. Some stories are not written with ink. They're written in exhaustion, in heartbreak, in the quiet prayers whispered into a pillow when no one is watching. Libra, This next part of your journey isn't about something you're about to earn, it's about something that's already been accounted for. The energetic audit has already taken place. Every moment you stayed silent instead of defending yourself, every time you chose to keep going when the path was unfairly blocked, was documented. Not in a literal ledger, but in the architecture of your life. You haven't been overlooked, you've been observed. And now, it's time for the return. What you may have called fatigue was often the invisible price of carrying someone else's burden, or worse, hosting energy that was never yours to begin with. So many of us mistake emotional depletion for weakness, when in truth, it's evidence that you've been running someone else's race while dragging the weight of contracts you never signed. That constant sense of being close to a breakthrough, only to see it fall apart at the last second, it wasn't a lack of talent or effort. It was interference. Someone else was feeding off the very momentum you worked so hard to create. In astrology, we sometimes say that Libra governs the scales, but not just of justice, also of energetic balance. And when you give more than you receive, when you say yes to people who never ask what your no might cost, those scales tip, not in your favor, but against your purpose. This moment is about recalibration. Not as punishment, but as restoration. And yet, if you're anything like most Libras I've worked with, you carry a quiet shame for having let it go on for so long. You ask yourself, why didn't I stop it sooner? But healing isn't always loud. And forgiveness isn't always clean. You did what you could, with the awareness you had at the time, and now, that awareness has deepened. This is the part of the story where you get to decide not to carry guilt any further. You're not behind. You're exactly on time for your real life to begin. I once knew someone who worked 3 jobs, barely surviving, believing the narrative that she was simply unlucky. One day, a stranger walked into her life, a friend of her late father, holding documents. Legal ones. She had no idea an inheritance had been waiting for her for over a decade. All those years she thought she was being ignored by life were simply the universe lining up every detail. It wasn't punishment. It was precision. She later said something I'll never forget. It didn't come when I was ready, it came when I was finally willing to receive. That's what this moment is for you, Libra. Willingness. You don't need to justify why you're tired. You don't need to prove that your pain was real. What you do need is space to grieve what's been lost, yes, but more importantly, to allow what's been held for you to come in. That may mean removing yourself from old patterns, connections, and even ideas that no longer serve the person you're becoming. It's okay to outgrow the version of yourself that made survival look graceful. And if you're watching this wondering, could this really be for me? The answer is yes. There's no mistake in timing. There's no randomness in healing. Sometimes, the greatest breakthroughs don't arrive in grand gestures. They show up through a quiet video, a moment of resonance, a sense of being spoken to in a way you can't explain. So if this feels like more than just a message, if it feels like an answer, honor that. Confirm your place in the balance by grounding this moment into form. You can write it in the comments. I release what drained me. I reclaim what was mine. I choose to receive it now. That small action becomes a sacred key, not because of the algorithm, but because of the intention behind it. And when intention meets timing, miracles have no choice but to unfold. Let me know when you're ready to move into part 3, and I'll continue building this beautiful journey for you with the same care, power, and purpose. There's a moment, often quiet and unannounced, when your body feels something before your mind can make sense of it. You might not be able to explain why, but there's a subtle lightness in your chest, like someone just removed a pressure you'd gotten used to carrying. It's as if an invisible weight has slipped off your shoulders, not with a dramatic crash, but with a breath you didn't know you were holding. Libra, this is not your imagination. This is the very first sign that the verdict has taken effect. You are now living in a different energetic reality. When a cosmic shift completes its transition, you will often feel it first before you see it. That sense of clarity that suddenly breaks through the mental fog? That's real. The way your intuition sharpens, the way you start seeing patterns in things you used to overlook, these are signals that the energy grid around your life has been recalibrated. And when that happens, the world begins to respond to you differently. It's not that the world changed overnight. It's that you did. This isn't a time to wait for signs, because the signs are already arriving inside you. The deep exhale. The unexpected sense of calm. The knowing that something big is coming even if you can't yet name it. This is what it feels like when the energetic back pay of your soul begins to move toward you. You are no longer living under the weight of delay. You are now aligned with delivery. But here's what's important to understand. Your nervous system needs time to adjust to this new frequency. The clarity may feel surreal. The peace might feel suspicious. That's normal. When you've lived in survival mode for too long, safety can feel like a trick. But it isn't. It's real now. And just as your inner world begins to clear, your outer world will start shifting too. People who once had a hold on your energy will begin to feel uncomfortable around your calm. Some may try to re-enter, not because they've grown, but because they can sense their access has been revoked. Be mindful. This is not the time to reopen old doors out of habit or guilt. What you're feeling right now, that deep steadiness, that clean space in your mind, is sacred. And anyone who disrupted it before will attempt to do so again, not out of hatred, but out of hunger. They're not apologizing because they've repented. They're reaching because they've run out of power. This is where discernment becomes your shield. You're not being asked to fight. You're being asked to guard what's been restored. Let people reveal themselves. Let silence speak louder than confrontation. You don't have to prove you've changed. The energy already does that for you. A woman once told me that she knew something had shifted when she woke up and didn't feel the usual ache in her stomach, the one she had mistaken for normal for years. She thought it was just her body. But it was the frequency of fear and depletion she had been absorbing from someone who had access to her spirit. When that person was finally gone, truly, completely gone, her body remembered what peace felt like. Libra, that's exactly what you're stepping into. A physiological reminder of what it feels like to be safe in your own skin, your own space, your own timeline. If this resonates with you, I invite you to declare your awareness of this shift. Write in the comments, I feel the change. I protect my peace. I am no longer available for what drains me. This is how you solidify the shift, not just in thought, but in embodiment. Your mind is clearing because the fog was never yours. Your body feels lighter because it no longer carries what wasn't meant to stay. Let the doors that closed remain closed, not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. You're not turning away from the past. You're turning fully toward your future. When you're ready, I'll guide you into part 4, where we'll talk about how to consciously receive what's coming not as a gift, but as a restoration. Let me know and I'll continue right away. Sometimes the greatest challenge isn't believing the shift is real, it's knowing what to do with it once it arrives. Libra, now that the verdict has been handed down in your favor, the question becomes, how do you hold it, live in it, breathe through it? This phase isn't just about hope or waiting for more signs, it's about embodying the energy of already done. You don't need to chase anymore. But you do need to prepare. That's the nature of energetic alignment, not forcing, not faking, but faithfully cooperating with what's already been ordered in your name. You may feel like there's not much you can do in the physical world to activate an invisible verdict, but the truth is, your daily actions are the most sacred form of agreement. Let's begin with your body. Your nervous system has been through years of tension, from holding trauma, from resisting disappointment, from preparing for things to go wrong even when they feel right. Now, you must create space in your body to hold peace, to welcome good news. Something as simple as cutting down your caffeine or sugar intake can make a difference, not as punishment, but as preparation. Give your system a chance to feel what calm truly is. Hydrate deeply. Add more light foods that don't weigh down your digestion. Your body is not just a vehicle, it's a vessel. And what you're about to carry requires clarity, not clutter. Financially, this is the time to honor what's coming by becoming the kind of steward who is ready for more. That doesn't mean hoarding or obsessing, it means awareness. Track your expenses, even the small ones. Note what flows in. Treat every unexpected refund, every shift in income, as if it's part of the greater arrival. Because it is. Energetic transfer often begins in the small things: a discount, a canceled charge, a payment you forgot you were owed. Recognizing these not as coincidences, but as confirmation, anchors you in a frequency of receptivity. And when you do this, more comes. Why? Because you've signaled that you're ready, not just emotionally, but practically. In your career or calling, the same principle applies. Don't wait for the perfect green light, act like it's already been given. If the universe handed you a letter saying, approved, how would you show up differently this week? Would you finally send that proposal? Update your resume? Launch that offer? Begin the training you've postponed? Energy flows to the decisive. Faith is not passive, it is active cooperation with unseen certainty. So move, not from desperation, but from alignment. You're not begging for permission. You've already been granted full authority. When it comes to relationships, this is a sensitive yet crucial part of your transition. Some people will feel your shift and they may not like it. They will call your new boundaries cold. They will call your peace arrogance. But don't be confused. You're not pushing anyone away. You're simply no longer giving access to energy that isn't mutual. Only receive what feels like respect. Only respond to what honors your worth. And if someone from your past shows up now, pause. Ask yourself, is this reconnection clean, or is it familiar hunger in disguise? You are no longer a source for someone else's survival. You are the guardian of your own light. Treat yourself that way. And when you doubt, when fear creeps in again, return to this simple yet powerful declaration: I receive my full inheritance. I am the chosen one. I am the light in this time. Say it aloud. Say it often. Not because the words are magic, but because your nervous system and subconscious need reminders that this is no longer a wish, it's a legal reality, energetically and universally sealed. You've come too far to shrink now. You've been through too much to pretend you're not ready. What you're feeling, sensing, seeing, it's all evidence. So step into this new rhythm of being with quiet confidence and unwavering grace. And Libra, trust this, when you start walking like it's already yours, the world responds as if it is too. Let me know when you're ready for part 5, where we enter the final, most empowering stage, your role as a wayshower and steward of this victory. Something remarkable happens when the waiting ends. Not because the wait itself was wasted, but because the moment of arrival finally confirms that your trust was not in vain. Libra, you've walked through seasons of silence with a heart full of questions and hands empty of answers. But now, you stand on the threshold of a door that only opens once. And tomorrow, December 15th, that door swings wide. Not metaphorically, not maybe, but fully. The golden seal has been stamped on the energetic account that carries your name, and the message is being delivered. You are the rightful inheritor. The timing is no longer approaching, it has arrived. You may not see an envelope on your doorstep, but make no mistake, something divine is in motion. And the confirmation isn't coming through the mail. It's coming through alignment. You've become the vibrational match for a reality that was always yours, but that needed you to endure just a little longer to receive it with clarity, not confusion. The universe never withholds without purpose. Sometimes, the delay isn't punishment. It's precision. There's a story I carry with me, a young woman who spent 7 years praying for breakthrough. 7 years of silence, of disappointment, of doors that wouldn't open no matter how hard she knocked. Until the day she stopped expecting anything at all. That afternoon, a letter came from an attorney. A man she had never met. Her biological father had passed away, and she was named in the will as his only heir. She didn't know his face, but he had known of her. Quietly. Silently. He had prepared something for her without her knowing. It didn't come when she wanted. But it came exactly when she was about to give up, just early enough to stop her from turning back, and just late enough to make her transformation permanent. Libra, I share that because I know how close you've been to surrender. Not the sacred kind, but the exhausted kind. The kind that asks, what if this is just who I am? Someone who almost gets there but never fully arrives. But that version of you? She was preparing the soil. She was making way for the future you who could carry the crown. Because a throne doesn't need just a body to fill it, it needs the integrity to sit in it with grace. And you've earned that. Not because you fought harder than others, but because you learned to soften without losing your fire. Because you kept believing, even when you didn't know you were still holding on. What's ahead now is not a trial. It's not a test. It's a declaration. It's the long-awaited fulfillment of a verdict that's been signed, sealed, and now delivered. But don't look for the miracle in only one form. It may arrive through a conversation that shifts your life. A chance opportunity that seems too perfect to be coincidence. A person showing up at exactly the right moment. What matters is not how it arrives, but how you receive it. With openness. With stability. With the quiet knowing that this is not too good to be true, it is long overdue. You are not stepping into something random tomorrow. You are stepping into a moment that has been architected by universal intelligence, confirmed by cosmic law, and anchored in the silent resilience you've cultivated day after day. If you've been feeling like something is different, like your breath is deeper, your mind is clearer, or your body is finally at ease, that's not emotional coincidence. That's what alignment feels like when it reaches your nervous system. And now, as you move through the final hours before this doorway fully opens, I invite you to anchor your readiness. Speak it, type it, live it. I accept the inheritance prepared for me. I walk through the golden door with peace. I know who I am. Say it as often as you need. Let it land in your heart before it lands in your hands. Because Libra, your name isn't just on the paper. It's written in light. And tomorrow, it shines. Let me know when you're ready for the final conclusion, where we tie all 5 chapters into a powerful message of embodiment and lasting transformation. So now, Libra, we come to the end, but something in you knows this isn't the end at all. It's the unlocking. You've walked through every part of this message with an open heart, and the truth is, you didn't come here to simply be reminded of what's possible, you came to remember what's already yours. And the time to claim it is now. You don't have to keep explaining yourself. You don't have to keep defending your worth. You are not here to beg for recognition, you are the living proof that light overcomes shadow, that stillness holds more power than noise, and that you can rise not because you fought to be seen, but because you finally saw yourself. Ask yourself now, what would change if I truly believed the verdict had already been signed in my favor? What would I do differently tomorrow if I walked like someone who has nothing to prove, only something to receive? What would I no longer tolerate, not out of spite but because peace is finally non-negotiable? These aren't abstract questions. They're activations. They are the doorways to your new life. You've heard the truth. You've felt the resonance. The next step is yours. So if this message has reached you in the exact moment your soul needed it, honor that alignment. Anchor it. Declare it. Type in the comments, I receive my full inheritance now. The verdict is executed. Libra rises. Those words are not just language, they're spiritual motion. They are a stamp, a seal, a final yes. And if you felt seen, empowered, held in this space, I invite you to like this video as a symbolic signature, your approval on the divine document. Let it echo back into your field as confirmation. Your readiness is real. And don't walk this path alone. Subscribe to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, where messages like this are not rare, they are the rhythm of those awakening to their timing. When you subscribe, you're not just joining a channel. You're entering a sanctuary, a space where healing, clarity, and purpose meet. So stay. Stay with the energy. Rewatch this if you need. Let it sink into your nervous system, into your breath, into the choices you make over the next 24 hours. Because Libra, tomorrow December 15th is not just a day for money, or for breakthrough. It's the day you finally return to the version of yourself that was never lost, only waiting. The door is open. The paper is signed. And you, dear one, are the one it's all been waiting for. Now rise.